What is up, everybody? Welcome back to RacingDudes.com. I'm going to do a little bit of a different video today, a video that kind of was inspired by Twitter. A lot of talk on Twitter right now about who should be the 3-year-old of the year. I want to give a shout out to our very own Vinny Blonde from Real Dynasty. He kind of got the debate started on Twitter. That was, I don't know, wish Vinny was here with me. That was a week or two ago. He tweeted out about this. This 3-year-old division is not wrapped up. There's a lot that could happen here. We don't really know who should be that 3-year-old of the year. Vinny tweeted it out. It caused a big storm on Twitter. Everybody's debating on who it should be. A lot of really good opinions out there. Kind of a fun thing to follow. And, listen, when it comes to these awards, 3-year-old of the year, 2-year-old, horse of the year, it's just people's opinion. I mean, it's voted on. So, you can have your opinions, and it is what it is. If you have a vote, and whoever you vote for, that's what we'll have to live with, because you're the one with the vote. So you can go a lot of different ways here. I'm not going to trash anybody's thoughts. I'm just going to give you mine, and I'm sure my thoughts will get trashed, because they always do. But we'll take that for what it is. All right, I've highlighted 6 horses I want to talk about for this 3-year-old horse of the year. And again, I think there's a clear 1 or 2 or even 3 that probably should get it, but there's some other ones that deserve mention. To start, anytime you get a 3-year-old season where there's 3 different winners of the Triple Crown races, and then the Travers winner is different from those 3 horses, this is what happens. It gets a little chaotic, and you can bring a lot of different things into play. One horse, and the first horse I'll talk about, I don't know what you do with them. Modern Games, okay? The horse has come over here, has won 2 Grade 1 races, and you'll hear voters and people, Grade 1s are the end-all be-all. I'll get to that in a second. But that's what you want to see. You want to see Grade 1 wins. And for 3-year-olds, beating older horses is a huge thing as well. Horse has done it twice. He's done it both times he's come over here. He won the Woodbine Mile, and then he won the Breeders' Cup Mile on the turf. So, I think voters have a hard time, like, okay, what do we do with a turf horse that's 3-year-old? And then they really have a really hard time with, well, what do we do with a horse that's really not ours? Modern Game's obviously based overseas, but it's come over here to win twice. Listen, I don't know what you do with him. I've seen people say, hey, make him number 1. I get it. I mean, really 2 nice wins. I've seen people say, no, you can't vote for him. He's a European horse. I get that argument as well. I just wanted to throw him out there. I think from a talent perspective, he probably is the best 3-year-old that's ran in this country. I just don't know that you vote for a horse that's based in Europe. I don't know. Were 2 races enough? I get it. If you want to try to put him number 1, he certainly is fantastic. And I think anybody that's watched me has known what I think about this horse. I absolutely love him. I've loved him ever since he was a 2-year-old. I was happy that I actually got to cash a win ticket that I placed on him this year at the Breeders' Cup. I'm not going to argue with anybody that says, hey, he's the best. I personally, if I had a vote, probably wouldn't include him, because he does just kind of feel like he's from Europe. He's a European horse, but I get it if you're going to. I think he is fantastic. All right, we'll move on to horses. Now we got the weird one out of the way, so to speak. Let's move on to some horses in the United States. And I think one that he's not going to win, but he certainly deserves some credit. Maybe he deserves to be in the top 3. We'll see. It's Cyberknife. He's had a really good season. 9 starts this year, 4 wins, 2 seconds, 1 third, 2 Grade 1 victories. One was in the Arkansas Derby over a field that it wasn't great, but let's pause on that and put a big but. It did include Secret Oath, who did win the Kentucky Oaks. Now, I think we've seen Secret Oath is a nice horse, not a elite horse, but that's a nice win to have on your resume. Also has a win over Taiba in the Haskell Stakes. You kind of forget that, right? He beat Taiba in the Haskell Stakes. So that's 2 pretty nice wins on his resume. He was a no-show in the Kentucky Derby. That's going to hurt him a bit. He did also pick up a win in the Matt Winn Stakes and in an optional claiming race. So a couple of nice ones there for Cyberknife. I think he would be taken much more serious if he would have won the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. And boy, it was right there. He almost did it. Cody's wish got him late in that race. Probably cost him, a chance to have a serious discussion about this horse should be 3-year-old of the year. If he gets that Breeders' Cup win against older horses, that really could have put him over the top. I think he's one. If he is one of the 3 finalists, I don't have a problem with it. I think he is pretty darn good. So Cyberknife, he should be in the discussion for sure. Like I said, that loss in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile is going to hurt him. He really wasn't competitive in the Pennsylvania Derby. He got third, but he was never a threat to win. That's going to hurt him as well. And then second in the Travers, but again, really never was a threat to win. Oh, it's almost like what could have been for this horse. If he would have got there a little bit quicker, it took him some time early in the year. Man, maybe he could be up there. Great season for Cyberknife. He might run one more time still. They're kind of talking about maybe running him one more time. If he shows up in a race like the Cigar Mile and tries that and wins it, I don't know, maybe we'll see. It kind of depends on how the rest of it shakes out. But Cyberknife, certainly one to talk about as well. All right, Jack Christopher. That's another one that's been thrown about. From a talent standpoint, probably one of the better ones, if not the best one we've got. The problem is, 4 races, 3 wins. They all came in sprints. All 3 of the wins came in sprints, and that is a problem. 2 of the 3 races really weren't that strong at all. I know the Woody Stevens is a grade 1. I urge voters, don't be lazy. Don't just say, well, this is a grade 1 and that race was a grade 2, so the grade 1's obviously better. Don't do that. Analyze the fields. I get it. In the graded system, it is what it is. It isn't perfect, but it does give fans an idea. Okay, this is a grade 1. This is a grade 2. Generally, a grade 1 is better. But if you're a voter and you have a vote, and you get in a debate like this where it's close, don't just go, well, that's a grade 1 and this is a grade 2, so it doesn't matter, and grade 1s are better. Look at the fields. Really try to analyze this. I urge you, analyze the races. The grade 1 Woody Stevens was not a great race. Okay, it just wasn't. I know it's a grade 1 and he won it, but it really wasn't that good of a race. I'm not talking about his performance. I'm talking about the field in general, right? Now, the grade 1 Alan Jerkins, that was a legit grade 1. They had some really nice horses in there, including Gunite, who's come back to run really, really well. Obviously, Gunite probably would have won the sprint if he would have entered there, but they entered in the mile. That's another story. Don't care. But Jack Christopher, look, didn't do enough to do it for a sprinter. A sprinter has to be absolutely perfect. And the other thing is he went to the Haskell. They tried 2 turns. He ran very well in that race, but he just got beat. He got beat by 2 horses that are also in the discussion. So it's hard. I hate that for him. The one thing that really could have boosted him and given him a big time shot if he would have got a Breeders' Cup win and he would have won the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Of course, he didn't get that chance. He had to scratch. He's injured. He's now retired. What could have been is kind of how you're going to have to look at him. He's not in the discussion for this 3-year-old. I should say he's not seriously in the discussion for 3-year-old of the year, but he certainly is in the discussion and is worth the mention in this. All right. Now here I'm going to get to my top 3. I'll say them in order, and I'll tell you this. It could change. We have big races left, and it starts with Rich Strike. I have him in 3rd right now. Look, here is the problem flat out. He has 8 starts. He has 1 win. That is a problem. That is a huge problem. I don't care what you say about it. That is a problem. 8 starts, 1 win. However, his 1 win, I should say, was the Kentucky Derby. That should be a huge, advantage. That is the race every 3-year-old in the country wants to win every year. Don't, make light of, well, it's just the Derby. No, it matters. It matters big time. Got that win. That's why he's still in the discussion. Any other horse wins 1 race out of 8 starts. They're nowhere in this discussion, but he won the Derby, and that's a big, big thing. What is killing him, in my opinion, a couple of things. The Travers. He ran a race like he was going to get second. It looked like he was going to get second. And then unexplainably, they took him off the rail, and he kind of lost momentum. He still was really close to second. He only got beat, a narrow margin for second, but he got 4th, right? A second in the Travers, I think, would have helped his case a little bit. Another thing that kills him, the Lucas Classic. That would have been a win over older horses, and it absolutely should have been. I think the jockey cost him that race by just acting weird. It's the best way I could put it. Leaning over, trying to knock off, trying to knock over the jockey of Hot Rod Charlie. He lost all the momentum. Rich Strike did. He was ahead, and then Hot Rod Charlie beat him. And we've seen over the years, Hot Rod Charlie is not one to win photos. So I really think the jockey cost him there. If he got that win, that would be huge. Very huge. 4th in the Breeders' Cup Classic, nothing wrong with that. He did finish behind Taiba, a horse that's in the discussion as well, so that did hurt him. Now, he runs in the Clark this weekend. It is a grade 1 race. If he wins it, it's a grade 1 win against older horses. That is going to help him. Now, again, I'll go back to voters. Don't be lazy when it comes to this. Yes, it is a grade 1. Yes, it is older horses. The field is not good, period. It's not a grade 1 type of field. In fact, the horses that he beat and finished ahead of in the Lucas Classic, which was a grade 2 race, are much better than the horses he's going to run against in the Clark that's a grade 1. So that's my example. Okay, I get it. It's a graded system. It's not perfect. It does try to help kind of sort this out. But if you are voting on an Eclipse Award, you know better than to just take that for what it is. Study this, right? So yeah, but still, it's going to be a big win. The Clark Stakes will be a big win for him. Who knows? Maybe he can move up in my list to second, let's say, if he can win that one. We'll see. But listen, the fact that he's still in the debate really tells me, hey, he may have been an 80-1 type of a fluke or whatever. He's kind of backed it up. He's ran pretty well after the Belmont. He was horrible in the Belmont. Next 3 starts, he's pretty darn good. So let's give some respect to Rich Strike. Hopefully he wins the Clark and he makes this an even better discussion. All right, let's move on to the horse I've got in second right now. That is Taiba. Everybody knows the first 2 races, fantastic. Ran really well, obviously. Won the Santa Anita Derby. The Kentucky Derby was a disaster. It is what it was. He came back and he's just run exceptionally well. The Haskell Stakes off of a layoff after that Derby. He gets beat by Cyberknife, but he runs a winning type of race, gets second. Goes to the Pennsylvania Derby, dominant. I mean, dominant in that race. Looked great. Third in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Got passed late by Olympiad. But here he is. He's got 6 wins, or 6 starts, 3 wins. He's been really good. It's still a little light for me to put him number 1. That's the thing. I think the race that really kills him. Forget about the Derby. I mean, that was a disaster. But if he would have won the Haskell, boy, now you've got a really strong case. You got 3 grade 1s on his resume. And 2 of them were legit grade 1s. No, the Santa Anita Derby was not a legit grade 1 this year. Don't want to hear it. But the other 2, the Haskell was legit. Pennsylvania Derby, pretty legit. So yeah, it would be a really, really good resume. Probably one that would get him the 3-year-old of the year. Here's the caveat. And like I mentioned to start the show, there's a lot of racing left. He's going to the Malibu, which is another grade 1 at 7 furlongs at Santa Anita. This race is close. That could be enough. If he was to go to the Malibu and really look dominant and win by 6, 7, 8 lengths, might be enough to push him to number 1. So stay tuned. Taiba's not out of this. And like I said, that third in the Breeders' Cup Classic is going to help him quite a bit to try to get up to that number 1 spot. I still think at the end of the day, he's going to fall a little bit short. He's not out of it, though. Look out, though, for this Malibu. Let's see if Taiba can kind of get back. It's a 7 furlong race, and that's going to be a little bit of a problem because 2-turn races are valued more than 1 turn, and that's fair. Also, who's going to be in the field if it's weak? Well, that's going to be another problem. If he beats a really strong field, well, then it's another discussion. So Taiba, number 2 on my list, and that's who I would have in that second spot. We'll see. Still 1 race to go. That still could make a difference. All right, final horse, and the horse I would have on number 1 on my list is Epicenter. The horse has 8 starts, 4 wins, 3 seconds. That right there before I go into anything else tells you, hey, he's been ultra consistent. He's had a really good season. He's been very consistent. He's been around all year long. That's another thing. It ended, poorly. The Breeders' Cup Classic, he got injured. I mean, you don't hold that against him, obviously. The horse got hurt, but it is sad to see. And that's the one race where he finishes off the board. He didn't finish the race. So you wish he could have proven, what he could have done that day. And he could have ended all debate, because if he finishes ahead of Taiba in that race, it's pretty much over. If he gets second or third and Taiba's fourth instead of third, then there is really no debate. But the injury, unfortunately, does kind of open things up for him. Let's review his wins, okay? He beat really nice horses in the Risen Star, and then also in the Louisiana Derby. The field wasn't as good as the Risen Star, but still, another big win. Second in the Kentucky Derby, we highlighted, got beat by Rich Strike. Second in the Preakness. That's the race that kills him, and that's the race that makes this a debate, right? If he wins the Preakness, yeah, that's the crown jewel, so to speak, that would push him completely over the top. However, he did come back out of that Preakness. He won the Jim Dandy. He won the Travers. He didn't just win them. He absolutely dominated those fields. They were really good fields. Jim Dandy was a short field. So I get it if you're going to question that. But the Travers was a really good field, and he's able to get the job done. He also got revenge on Rich Strike in that race. So I don't know. I mean, the head-to-head thing, that helps, I guess, for him. I just think he's been the best horse, the most consistent horse all year long. A lot of people, well, not a lot, but some people have said, look, he only has one Grade 1 win on the resume. And again, don't be lazy when you're analyzing this. Yeah, it's the truth, but some of these Grade 2s are just as good as the Grade 1s that these other horses are getting credit for. You look at the Risen Star. That was one of the better prep races of the year. Look at the Louisiana Derby. It wasn't great, but it was, I mean, the Santa Anita Derby wasn't great either, and it's a Grade 1, you know? So I get it. Only one Grade 1 is a problem, but again, I just urge people that are voting, don't be lazy. Look up the horses that were in the races, right? And try to analyze it like that, more than just say, hey, this is a Grade 1 and this is a Grade 2, so obviously this Grade 1 is better. It's just not. And like I said with the Rich Strike example, I give him more credit for running second in that Lucas Classic. That was a much better field that he's going to run in Grade 1 company in the Clark this week. I'll give him credit, obviously, if he wins it, but that Grade 2 race was better than that. So just be mindful of that. Hopefully voters are mindful of that. Don't just take it for face value. You know, don't judge a book by its cover. How about there you go. There's an analogy that's overused, but look into it, you know, look into the races. I just think his body of work is still the best. So I have Epicenter at number 1. All respect to anybody though. Listen, if you have Taiba 1, great. You have Rich Strike number 1, great. I'm not really, when you get a situation like this, that's what makes it fun. All the arguments are kind of valid, right? I mean, all 6 horses I talked about, yeah, I get it. I get why you would want to put them on. But that's my opinion on that. And we'll, like I said, big races coming up. We'll see if the Clark makes a difference. We'll see if maybe the Cigar Mile makes a difference, and of course the Malibu. We'll see if all of them make a difference. And who knows? Maybe we'll do another video at the end of the year, and I'll give my concrete 1, 2, and 3. But as it stands right now, that's how I see it. All right, guys. Just wanted to touch on that. Shout out to Vinny one more time for tweeting that out and getting everybody going. I think it was a good topic, and I enjoyed talking about it. So hopefully you enjoyed watching. All right, guys. Thanks everybody for watching. Hit like if you like the video. Hit subscribe if you really like it. You'll get alerted anytime we do videos like this. We'll see you guys next time.
RacingDudes.com is your home for the best free picks for every race, every track across the country. We're ramping up for the 2023 Kentucky Derby, and we want you to join us in the fun. Subscribe to Racing Dudes YouTube channel and click the notification bell so you never miss a single video. Want to make money betting horses? Bet with the Racing Dudes.